Right. Okay. Can you see me okay there, Tony?
No, I can't see you at all.
No. Right. Right. Oh, there we go. This is the first Zoom meeting I've ever done.
It's brilliant. No, it's I like Zoom. I think Zoom works really well. It just means you can be in contact with anyone, anywhere where there's an internet connection, and I think it's brilliant, to be honest.
That's it.
Thank you for agreeing to do this with me, Joe.
No, you're very welcome. That's absolutely fine.
I've got a few quick questions. I'm going to whiz through them, so we've got about 20 minutes, and it will go really quickly, trust me. So I'm going to kick off. What is Memorial Masonry?
Memorial Masonry. So it's basically what it says in the title. Really, it's a bit different to stone masonry. That tends to be architectural. Memorial Masonry is headstones. Everything headstones to remember loved ones and past people.
Yeah. So, what type of headstones are available? So, walk me through the different options.
So you can have as simple or as elaborate as you want. Really, nowadays we can take it really to the extremes. Whatever you want. We've done all sorts here. As you can see in my background, you've got a showroom there with some different options and a fully carved angel in the background. We've done DJ decks. We've done characters. Thomas the Tank Engines, you name it, we've done it.
How soon after a burial do you install the headstone?
So it's recommended really. It depends on the size of the headstone and what's already there. So if there's a strip foundation already put in from the council, you can have it pretty soon, but you've got the constraints of how long it takes to make a memorial, which every mason's a bit different, but usually it is quite a while. But for like a bigger memorial on a newly buried in plot, would say about a year, to leave it a year. But order it straight away, because if you go for something elaborate, it might take best part of that year to make and be delivered.
So the time constraints is not so much the earth settling or anything to do with the burial. It's to do with the commissioning of the headstone itself and the construction.
It is, yeah. I mean, sometimes you might go back and forwards for quite a while on drawings just to get it perfect. You know, I mean, in house we do all the 3D drawings in house, and we might be messing around with that for a couple of months on something massive. You know, until all the family are happy and whatnot. So, and then it's got to be made and then shipped.
So on average, how long would you say the turnaround time is for a headstone?
On average, I would say a realistic expectation is about 8 to 10 months.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you will get stuff quicker, simple stuff, you know, off-the-shelf stuff. But usually people don't really go for off-the-shelf stuff anymore. And I would say 8 to 10 months is a comfortable lead time for to leave it to expect. Sorry.
And how are they actually supported in the ground? Are they concreted in, or some other methods?
Yeah. So we'll put in a foot. I mean, each mason's different, but there is standards to stick to. And we would put a concrete foundation in. Depending on the size of the headstone, that might be put in on the same day. It might be left to set for 2 weeks if it's like a big curb set memorial. We'll put that in. We'll then drill into that for the dowels in the ground anchor system. So N.A.M.M, the association we're in, require most of the cemeteries and churchyards require you to meet their standards. Got to use a ground anchor, which is a big stainless steel rod. There's a few different types, and that goes through the base of the stone into the concrete foundation. Not just ensures if the cement's ever to come loose, it's got a good hold of it.
So you have to dig the footings first, and then I pour concrete in. Like building a wall.
Most do. Some don't, but most do. Yeah.
So I imagine they're very heavy. Some of these memorial headstones can be quite
massive.
heavy.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. Memorials. Some of the larger ones can be 3-4 ton. Just depends on what you've designed and the size of it, really.
So the design, do you need planning permission? So if you've got a particularly elaborate or large structure, I'm thinking of like like a big statue or something like that. Would that need planning permission from the cemetery? How does it work?
Anything will. So even if you're putting on a tiny little vase,
Yeah.
if it's through a company like us, we will. Or there might be some cemeteries down the country that don't require it, but all of the ones I know of do. You put in a memorial application that's got to be passed, all the sizes, the wording, etc. Anything from little, even just cleaning a headstone, regilding it. Usually, you'll take a memorial application, and then it's the same process for the larger stones. There's just a lot more dimensions to put on the application.
And is it quite lengthy, the period from submitting the planning application for it to being approved, or is there quite a quick turnaround normally?
Depends on the council, really. Some of them are really quick at getting them to you. Some of them are really, really slow.
Yeah. And you talked about different types of headstones. So you've got headstones, which I suppose people would, the common type of headstones that you see behind you, and then you've got, are they called curbed headstones, where they're infilled with like glass chippings or material?
So there's a couple behind me, like the big angel one over here. I'm just getting me sides right. So that's a full curb, and then just beside it with a tine bridge on, you've got like a half curb. Some councils don't allow a half curb, but most of the ones up where we are in the northeast do. But yeah, you've got full and half curbs.
I've always wondered, is there any significance with the glass chippings? Is that purely decorative, or is there some other kind of symbolic reason that they're filled with these kind of green glass or blue glass I've seen?
Nah, it's just decorative, really. I wish there was a more elaborate answer.
I do remember going back to walk around cemeteries with my parents as a child, and you'd see these green glass chippings, and it was just so I don't know, it was kind of quite a vivid memory I have of walking around cemeteries. Not that I do it often, but
I do.
Well, it is interesting because for the research for this podcast, I went around the local cemetery, and there is an awful lot of symbolism that you get, particularly with the 19th century headstones, the kind of classic headstones you probably think of. And I was just going to say, do you know about the kind of symbolism behind these kind of symbols? I mean, you tend to find they recur on quite a few headstones. The log seems to be quite common. I don't know if you've come across the headstone shaped like a tree log or
tree of life, yeah. Tree of life, kind of family tree kind of thing. We get asked for that, yeah. There's a few different designs. We have done a tree trunk that had no branches on it. It was just kind of like a tree trunk. That was years ago. I can't remember why particularly the customer asked for that. Yeah. But angels are a big one, aren't they? And that's because everyone likes to think that their loved ones now become an angel.
Yeah.
A football shirt, symbolic, especially if you're from Newcastle at the minute. But yeah, I think it's just personal preference, and that's always been the thing going right the way back,
Yeah, there does seem to have been a change. Again, going back to the kind of Victorian headstones you see in the cemeteries, where there's a lot of symbolism and it's very quite religious. It seems like the more modern headstones, they tend to have more personal symbolism, like say, football shirts, Thomas the Tank Engine, stuff that's personal to the individual rather than to a particular religion.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, religious headstones are still a big thing. We do many different religions do Jewish stones, Muslim, Catholic, you name it. But I would say you probably don't get as many, say, Catholic stones as what you used to.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a choice over that person loving motorbikes and having a fully carved motorbike, or went to church once a month and having a Catholic head, I'd probably go for the motorbike. You know, because I can now.
When we spoke before, we were talking about the headstones and where they're sourced from, and it was really interesting. I said to you, I didn't think of it, but you were saying to me a lot of the actual stones, so the big blocks of stone that you engrave, are actually from China, India.
Yeah.
And
so
sorry, can you explain?
Nowadays, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, can you just explain a little bit about the connection with those countries and the industry?
Yeah. So everyone, as soon as you mention China or India, everyone goes, that's because it's cheaper. It is, yeah, than getting someone in this country to carve your headstone, absolutely. But that's where the granite's coming from. So in this country, we have very limited granite. In some people go, no, we've got loads, yeah, but memorial grade granite that'll hold a letter. So when you carve a letter, it's got to be able to hold that. Like we get loads of people bringing bits of stone they found on the beach and going, can you put some lettering on that? And we're like, nah, because the minute we try and engrave that, it's going to just disintegrate. So it's the same with granite. The best granites for memorials come from China and India. Also, places like China have been carving stuff like figures and whatnot for thousands of years. You know, people go on holiday to view these figures. So they are the best place for it. And nowadays what we get is a lot of people coming in and saying, I want black granite because that's the best. Yeah, it does withstand elements a lot better than, say, Italian white marble, because white marble's porous, sandstone's porous. So black granite, the best place to get black granite in the world, is India. If you get black granite from China, it's not so good. So what you want is basically the Chinese, if it is, say, an angel, the Chinese buying Indian blocks to carve, then ship to here. So there is method behind it other than price.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that they do the bulk of the stonework, and then you finish it off with the engraving of the letters.
Yeah. Letters, artwork, any finishing touches. Yes, we can, do stuff here, absolutely. But you're far better not shipping the waste. So on a big elaborate stone with loads of detail, you might have quite a bit of waste there, and you're better off not shipping it.
So not all granite's the same. And going back to what you said about engraving, certain types of granite, it just wouldn't hold the letters. So you have to pick the right type. Yeah.
That's why you've got, you've got black granite, you've got certain greys that are popular for headstones, you've got certain blues, blue pearl, which a lot of people actually get the worktops in the kitchens made out of. That's perfectly fine for memorials. You've got lots of different types of granites that are memorial okay.
And these headstones, are they just a single block of stone, or when you have an angel, is that something that's done and then added later on? How does it work?
So, like the one behind us there, that is all one piece, the head part. So where the lettering goes and the angel, that's one part. Then it sits on a base, and then the curbs and stuff are separate. But you could have, say, if you wanted, we've done a few where the kind of the granites are kind of, you can have two granites, so you could have like a blue granite on a black granite. You can have them inset. You can do that as well.
I've just noticed the castle in the background.
The little
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that would be expensive because it's bespoke, or is that a similar price to the normal standard gravestone?
Pretty much the same as a standard. We wouldn't charge any more just because it's bespoke. it falls into line. But that one in particular is a children's memorial, which we would market that much cheaper than it should be anyways,
Yeah.
just because we're not really interested in making any money from them types of stone. You know, it's just something that we've got to do. We'll do it well. They do still cost money, but you wouldn't pay any more for a bespoke angel over an angel that, look, if it was the same kind of measurements, etc., is brochure, because we're making it all for your order anyways. There's very little taken from stock.
So for something like that, would it involve the same processes, the same techniques as a normal headstone that's just black, your black granite? Is there a different process to add the colour to it, the shape, the detail?
Yeah, so with that one in particular, it's basically black granite and then it's sandblasted to take the polish off. So black granite, when it's dug out the ground, isn't black and shiny. It's polished with diamond polishing discs and water to get that shine. You're basically polishing it, then taking the polish off and then applying a specialist paint, which is done by a proper artist. It's not just, anyone can't just do that. It is done by an artist. You do see some that aren't done by an artist, but these ones are definitely are.
So how long would something like that last? I mean, I know granite's very durable, but I mean, in terms of weathering, would it hold its detail for a long time?
Yeah, well, I mean, the paints that are used, you know, in this trade, we've looked for years and years and years, and it's a ongoing thing of finding the best paints. We have got very good paints, but at the same time, it is paint and it is exposed to the elements, so it's going to depend where you are. If you're somewhere coastal or underneath trees where the tree sap's going to continuously attack the paint, it's not going to last as long as, you know, somewhere sheltered, etc. So we would expect it to last a good while, but it isn't going to last forever. But we can always go out and repaint them in the cemeteries on site.
That's interesting, because a lot of the cemeteries that the ones I've been to, some of the headstones, the whole curb set is falling into disrepair. So is there a service that you can get to manage that, to look after?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you would ring us. Now, a lot of those are kind of from back in the day when there wasn't regulations to put stainless steel dowels in them, you know. They were literally just cemented together, and that's not going to last. Where now we have to pin them all together, you know, and there's far better techniques of fixing them now. So hopefully in say 50 years' time, we're not going to have the same problem as what we've got now. But if you ring us and say this curb set is in disrepair, we go out and have a look at it, give you a quote for putting it right. It might need new foundation. It might need all taken out, re-drilled for the stainless steel, and then put all back together. And we do some fantastic works on renovations. Really, really good jobs.
How much would a headstone cost? So what's the starting price? I know you can commission individual pieces, but what sort of price would people be looking at if they wanted just a basic headstone?
How much is a car?
Yeah.
It's like that. So everyone's going to charge different amounts.
Yeah.
Depending on the work they put into it, the standard of material that they're buying. So yeah, we as a company can look at stuff and say, yeah, we could buy cheaper material and probably do that headstone a little bit cheaper, but it's going to be a cheaper material. We aim for the quality, so it depends. We get asked that quite a lot, and what I normally say is to give a rough idea. If you want a standard headstone, you're gonna be looking at about £1,000, and I know there's upwards. Basically, there is cheaper stuff. Absolutely, there's cheaper stuff in our showrooms. There is going to be people turning around going, we can do a headstone for half that money. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah. Can buy a cheaper car that's not going to last as well.
Yeah. It is fascinating. I don't think anybody really understands the work that goes behind a headstone. Have you noticed a resurgence in popularity of headstones, in styles of headstones? Has there been any changes in what people want nowadays?
Yeah, I think with the internet and social media, I think awareness of what you can have has played its part. Absolutely. You know, if we put out some advertisements of bespoke stuff that we've done, we do get more inquiries for it. Absolutely. So I think that's played a massive part. Also, it's an ongoing thing. So once you do more of them, people see more of them in the cemetery, and they want them. The cemetery is your best showroom. So yeah, definitely, yeah. It's gotten it's gotten quite interesting actually over the last, I would say, 10, 15 years. It's slowly but surely got a bit more bespoke and a bit more interesting.
Is it because the technology now enables people to kind of realize their dream of what they want for their loved ones, that you talked about the football shirts, the Thomas the Tank Engine? These are, I don't think they would probably be available 20, 30 years ago. Is that a relatively new development, or?
The were available. It's always been possible, but it's been down to whether the company's been willing to take that step and go, let's make something different, and being comfortable with that. I mean, we were doing Newcastle shirts probably 20 years ago. To be fair, they're not the same as the ones now. I mean, the ones now that we do have like the wrinkles of like your t-shirt carved into the granite and that, and it's like it's totally surreal. It looks brilliant.
Is that done by a laser, Joe? How do you get that ruffle, that kind of?
No, just hand.
Hand.
So a lot of people think that we just feed the CNC machine this big block of granite and it comes out.
Yeah.
It would be really good if we could, but usually it's done by a proper craftsman. And like I say, I mean, these guys in the factories in China and India, they are like the best of the best, and we work really hard to find good factories. We don't just pick any factory, you know. So we have a handful of different factories that we use who are good for certain things.
Yeah.
So when a job comes in, I look at it and think which factory is going to be best to use for that stone, and then they are done by hand. So it is amazing that these things can be created by a guy with a Dremel, an angle grinder, and some chisels. It's just mind blowing, but yeah, they are pretty much done by hand.
That's incredible. I mean, like you say, you look at the detail, and automatically you think that's manufactured. There's some sort of laser cutting that away, but you made the point, it's still all done by hand, which is incredible, really. Do you also do headstones for cremations? Do you pack headstones? Are there other?
Yeah, we'll make anything. So if you've got a pet, I think we've got a couple on at the moment. They're either for gardens or pet cemeteries, or we make stuff out of granite. We make memorials, and it doesn't matter whether it's for your pet, your teddy bear, or your loved one. It doesn't. We'll make it for anything. Cremation, yes. So in the northeast, we're very lucky that our councils allow us on cremation plots to have a standard size headstone. So I'm talking 2'6" high. Down in North Tyneside, where our other branch is, that they're even more generous. You can go even higher than that, and you can go quite large. When I see different ones down the country, you're only allowed like 18 by 18 plaque. So we're quite lucky up here. We're allowed headstones, and you're even allowed a little mini curb as well. So you're allowed a little curb on there as well.
So it's been really interesting talking to you about headstones, Memorial Masonry. It is a fascinating area. Thank you for talking to me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having us on.
Take care, Joe. Ta-da.
Cheers, Tony. Take care. Bye-bye.